This all begins when an explorer named Christopher Columbus started searching for the land through the Atlantic Ocean. Well, he tries to find Asia, specifically India, but he made some mistakes along the way, so he ended up being in America. This is also the reason why the Native Americans were also known as Indians. Nowadays, America, including the United States of America and Canada, was known as the economy center around the world. But how did this begin?
Christopher Columbus, the son of a wool merchant, is believed to have been born in Italy in 1451. When he was still a teenager, he got a job on a merchant ship and remained at the sea until 1476. At that time, pirates attacked his ship, and Columbus floated to the shore on a scrap of wood and made his way to Lisbon, where he studied mathematics, astronomy, and many other skills. He also began planning on something big that would completely change the entire world forever. At the end of the 15th century, it was nearly impossible to reach Asia from Europe by land. The road was long and dangerous since you can encounter with hostile armies that were difficult to avoid. Later on, a Portuguese explorer solved this problem by sailing in the sea. He sailed south along the West African coast and around the Cape of Good Hope. However, Christopher Columbus had a different idea. He tried sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean instead of around the African continent. Christopher Columbus believed that the journey by boat from Europe to Asia should be easy for him. After that, Christopher Columbus presented his plans to the official in Portugal and England. At that time, Columbus wanted fame and fortune. Ferdinand and Isabella, the Spanish ruler of southern Italy, also wanted the same, along with the opportunity to export Catholicism to lands across the globe. Columbus promised the Spanish rulers that they could keep any 10% of whatever riches he found, along with a title and the governorship of any lands he encountered.
Christopher Columbus had 4 trips across the Atlantic Ocean from Spain, which includes the trip in 1492, 1493, 1498, and 1502. Let's talk about Christopher Columbus' trips. In August 3rd, 1492, Christopher Columbus and his crew set sail from Spain in 3 different ships. Then later, on October 12th of that same year, the ships have reached the land of America, not as Christopher Columbus assumed. They have reached is San Salvador. Although his actions of discovering the America and setting sail from Spain to an unknown world was a bravery action, but sadly his motives were askew. He didn't find many precious objects or merchandise. So on January of 1493, he left several dozens of men behind in order for him to go back to Spain. And he also kept a detailed diary during his first voyage. His journal was written in between August 3rd of 1492 until the November 6th of 1492. So about 6 months later, in September 1493, Christopher Columbus returned to America, but he found his Hispaniola settlement destroyed, so he left his brothers behind to rebuild while enslaving indigenous people. Christopher Columbus then started to search for more gold. Well, his group now includes a large number of indigenous people that they have enslaved. So, Christopher Columbus sent a bunch of material riches and along with indigenous slaves to Queen Isabella. Well, the queen was horrified because she believed that any people Christopher Columbus discovered should not be enslaved, so she rejected him. In May of 1498, Christopher Columbus had begun his trip across the Atlantic for a third time. He visited Trinidad and South America mainland before going back to his Hispaniola settlement, where the colonists had staged a bloody revolt against the Columbus brothers. The mismanagement was brutal, so the conditions were so bad that the Spanish authorities needed to send a new governor to take over this mess. Later, Christopher Columbus was arrested and had to return to Spain for trials. In 1502, Christopher Columbus made another trip across the Atlantic Ocean, but his ships were damaged by the storm, so he had to return to Spain empty-handed.
When Christopher Columbus returned to Spain in 1504, he was at the age of 53 and was in poor health conditions. He has a syndrome called Leiter syndrome, which is the inflammations of the eyes, and it made him almost impossible for him to read, and he suffers a lot. When King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella known about his mental condition, he had no intention of giving him any official position, and Columbus lived most of his last 18 months unhappily in Spain. Christopher Columbus died on 20 May on the year 1506. His sons Diego and Ferdinand were at the bedside when a priest said Mass, and the great explorer was heard to say that into God's hand he commended his spirit. After the funeral, Christopher Columbus was buried in the Carthusian monastery of Santa Maria. Christopher Columbus did not actually discover the Americas. He is also not the first European to visit the New World. However, his journey kicked off centuries of exploration on the American continent. Today, Columbus has a controversial legacy. He is remembered as a path-breaking and unbelievable explorer who changed the New World. His actions also changed the world in a way that would eventually destroy the native populations he and his fellow explorers encountered.